Hi, I'm Brittany Pacheco,
And I'm Franklin Cooper.
and we are the Watchers in the Basement coming to you from a very cold Texas. It's cold here, y'all. Like, we're not used to this. I mean, Frank, I know you're from further up north in Texas than I am, but like this is this is a different level of cold. You doing okay
Yeah,
up there?
man. I feel like the world is ending. This is like the second time it's been this cold in 3 years, and I don't feel good about. I think White Walkers are coming. I think
Uh,
is what it is.
Listen, Canada, come get your weather. It's drunk down here. All right, we're not
Please,
built for this.
please take this
My
shit back
goodness.
with y'all.
My goodness, we're built for heat. We can handle the heat, even it's, three digits heat. We're good. This the 25 feeling like two? No, absolutely not. No. So
No.
up north, I'm gonna need y'all to come get your weather and take it back. We good. Anyway, but today Frank and I are here to discuss the sixth episode from the season 2 of AMC Plus Gangs of London. I literally just finished watching this episode. My God, Frank. My God. That's all I'm saying.
It's crazy because like George, he was pretty much saying he was done with the show like a month ago. He sent me that link, that UK link, and I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" So I watched that show. I watched that episode 3 weeks ago, and I'm not done with it. I just know where my it's concrete where my allegiance lie now.
Oh, 100% after this episode. Yeah, we're on the same team. We'll reveal that at the end of this review, but where we left off with Gangs of London, we saw that Sean and Koba formed an alliance because they were able to get the information about the investors that was on that little USB drive that was given to Elliot's dad to give to Singer. They were murked in the airport. Still have no idea how that could have happened because it's an airport. It's also the UK. It's illegal to have handguns there, but this is also Gangs of London, so whatever goes. But yeah, so Elliot's dad is gone. Devastating blow for Elliot, of course. He thinks it's the investors. He goes and kills the mouthpiece of the investors. And you just know that all hell is going to eventually break loose. But starting off with this episode, I told you off screen, like, I didn't like how this episode started because it dealt with a dog. You and I are both dog owners. It's like, no, let's not see another dog get killed like we did with Luan's little pup. Like, I physically cannot handle seeing that on screen again.
I know,
Like,
right?
I mean, did you have any idea what direction this opening scene was going to go to, like, at all?
No, I didn't. I assumed somebody got ate, or I assume a dog like got somebody got chopped up in little pieces, and whoever owned that dog was being fed those pieces to that dog.
Oh,
But I mean, I didn't. Now it was a great job by a director because it left everything open, right? Like you knew someone
mhm.
was going to die, but you didn't know who, you didn't know how. But like it was like that Quentin Tarantino showing it but in the beginning, and
Yeah,
it had me at the edge of my seat the whole time.
for sure. Because you're seeing this dog look up, like, all different areas of, I don't know if it's like a flat or if it's a hotel or whatever the case may be, but he's licking up blood on different surfaces, and he's going to an elevator, and you hear the elevator ping, and it's like, okay, well, who's coming through? And I was just like, no, 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 I can't handle seeing a dog being killed. Thankfully, that's not the case. We'll get to that towards the end of this episode. But as I mentioned, that Elliot killed the mouthpiece of the investors. And man, that little girl finding her mother dead in the stables had to have been so blood curdling, just horrible. I mean, that scream that she gave. I was like, because I wasn't sure whether or not he severely injured the mouthpiece or he killed her.
Yeah.
We got our answer. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. But he's in a completely different state of mind. But we do see news coverage that private bankers across the world who seem to not have any ties to one another, I put air quotes to that, are being killed off. Frank, it's easy to say that these are the investors that Koba and Sean have information on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you saw the episode before. Sean showcases that USB drive to Kobo with all the investors' names, addresses, locations, all of that. And it also shows me how calculated the investors were, because they are in different countries, relation to each other. So this is a very smart, cunning operation to where if something falls, there's nothing connected to these 6 or 7, executive bankers or executive whatever. So when you see the news and you see people in Tanzania and Kuwait and London, it's like, oh shit, they located these cats. This is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought the investors are going to be around for like the duration of this series. So to see to see them get X'd out so quickly, it kind of starts a whole new show now of like you like relaying the power structure of who's going to take over London now.
For sure, because we're definitely seeing that with Sean and Koba, in their minds, they think they run London, right? And that's putting their quote unquote predecessors in feeling some type of way. For example, Asif, who works, for the investors, right? And he's been responsible for trying to get all the money back that Finn, took all that time ago, thus hiring Koba. But then Koba, flipped the script on Asif. He joined an alliance with Sean, and now they're like, yeah, it's not in anyone's real interest to work for the investors, so we have a better offer for you, Asif. That conversation in the car with Asif, because he's asking Koba, like, why is Sean Wallace still alive? He's behind all this. And then you enter Sean into the vehicle. Like, what did you think of that whole conversation?
I mean, in theory, Acid wasn't wrong. I mean, in his mind is that you took out Sean in season 1 because Sean was being too reckless and you didn't know what Sean's motivations were, and he had cut off the supply to the drug trade, and he was just too unpredictable. So I get why Asif wanted him out of the picture twice. So for him to show up, I'm sure Asif was like, "Fuck, I saw a ghost." Like, now he's here, and it's like so many things going through Asif's mind. Like, damn, Kobe, you betrayed me. Damn, Kobe, this motherfucker ain't dead yet. What the fuck? Like, what's gonna happen now? So, it was a very, very great scene. Like, the guy who plays Asif, man, I think his name is Asif in real life, but he did such a great job. Like, his facial expression just like changed the dynamic of that scene, because Asif is a powerful entity in the show, right? Like, he has trade routes, he has boat routes, he has so many people working under him. He's killed so many people and took over their turf. So to see him actually like scared of this little 5'0" white man coming into his car, but it was just great acting.
It looks like a Culkin.
Yeah, like it was great.
It's like, just put your hands up to your face and go, ah. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, seriously. No, I agree. For Asif to basically be visited by the ghost of Christmas past and realize that this little white man right here is supposedly calling the shots. And when Sean offers like a deal to Asif about, we're taking back London, but we want to give you a piece of this, right? We want you to give up your infrastructure, and you have basically you have full reign of product coming in and out of London, right? And in exchange of that, again, Sean and Koba want the infrastructure, and this is all just to take down the investors, of course. And Asif's like, no, not going to agree to this. Like, just typical, right? We don't negotiate with terrorists, right? And and when Sean basically says, okay, you have until tonight to decide, he exits the car, but Koba is left with Asif, who adds a sweetener. Okay. And at that point, Frank, did you have any idea what that sweetener could have been?
I knew exactly what it was when he said that.
You did?
Yeah, I do, because he didn't forget what happened last season to his son. So I was like, I knew exactly what it was. Now, how it went about, I didn't see that coming, but I knew who it was.
Yeah,
the AKA sweetener. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the sweetener. Well, if the next scene isn't very telling of what that sweetener was, it deals with Lale, of course. And Lale and her people are I don't know if it's a birthday party or celebration or some sort of gathering. It's a little party. Everyone's having a good time. And
Yeah, his business partners, the guy that owns that store, his son, is his birthday.
okay. Yeah, it
Mhm.
was a birthday. So, she and her business partner are privately having a conversation, and the business partner is still expressing his concerns about Koba. Now they all know, of course, that Sean and Koba are in alliance, and she's like, no, like Sean promised us this, like there's nothing to worry about. We're the sole distributors of heroin, like everything's fine, like it's no big deal. And she sees this little girl off to the side who has like one of those little party horns, and like cute little girl, sweet little girl. And Lale kind of makes a comment about how, like, I guess she as a child didn't have that opportunity to be a child. She had a gun put in her hands, and, had to learn how to shoot and basically carry on the way that she's carried on. And I thought it was a really cute moment when the little girl went up to her and she says, "Come play with me, come play with me." And Lala's like, "Okay, I'm gonna come get you." And it's almost like, you want some sort of like redemption for Lale's character and everything that she's experienced growing up, to kind of just be free to be a child, if you will. But she goes and chases this little girl away from the party. And for me, that was like, oh, this is not gonna end well. Like this is not gonna end well. I kind of got like a not Scarlet, Black Widow kind of vibe out of this. Is like, oh, they're recruiting these kids young. Like, I mean, did you expect that little girl to like lure Lale away and then be like, they found you?
No, I didn't. I mean, because they don't even know at the time Lale was alive. So I think, well, maybe they saw her at the shootout 2 episodes earlier, but like at this point, she had been missing. I mean, they hadn't seen her. She
Yeah,
was
but I
under
think
investigation with Sean in the
mhm.
cell. So I didn't think they would have the ability to even capture her, because she's an assassin. Like, to
Yeah.
catch her, you have to kill her for the most part, and I guess to use a child is probably the only way that you can even like corral her, because everything she does for her country is for the future of her country, the children. And I think she said that, like, I'm
Yeah.
doing this for the future
Yeah.
of the next generation. So and you kind of saw that season 1, how close she is to her nieces and her sister.
Hmm.
So they knew how to get to her. It's just, yeah, that surprised me. I thought they were going to ambush her and, like, have a
Yeah.
shootout or whatever and catch her that way. So that way was
Hmm.
shocking.
Well, I mean, I think it's safe to say that, because Koba obviously knew about Lale having now formed an alliance with Sean. That's why
Mm.
Asif's people were able to, get their hands on her and then take her away. But we'll come back to that. But that to me was just like, oh man, like why are you pulling like a Black Widow kind of? It literally made me think of Avengers, when Bruce Banner is in India or whatever, and the little girl comes begging for his help and lures him away, and then she like deuces, like, peace out, y'all.
Mm-hmm,
I don't know.
mm-hmm.
It was kind of funny. So Lale is now in the hands of Asif. Of course, at this time we don't know it's Asif's people, but we're just giving y'all the heads up. It's Asif's people. But Marion, Sean's mother, has a warning for Sean about Koba. I mean, we talked about this in the last episode about this alliance. Would Sean try to overthrow Koba, or would Koba try to overthrow Sean? And I think the latter is the safe way to go, obviously, because when Koba tells Sean, "Hey, like Asif agreed to terms, but like there's some additions to it, and that's Lale," and Sean's like, "No, no, 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 no. That's I'm not going to agree to that." It's like, well, too bad, Asif already did, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, Sean, this was a mistake, wasn't it?" Like,
Yeah, I think for me, let's go back a little bit.
mm-hmm,
So Koba, when Koba found out, when Luan exposed Moran's location,
yeah,
and Koba went to go kill Marianne and everybody at that compound,
mm-hmm,
Sean knew about that, because Sean's the one that warned his own mother. If he,
right,
I don't know, maybe I'm just an old school G. If you try to kill my mama,
oh yeah,
we're not shaking hands and being friends. I'm gonna kill you. It's a
mm-hmm,
wrap. Like, it's war.
mm-hmm,
I'm not shaking hands with the guy that tried to murder my mama.
mm-hmm,
And and that showed me that Sean was more about power than his own family. Because, throughout, it's kind of like the Cersei thing in Game of Thrones. Cersei loves her children. And Cersei might be this, might be that, but she loves her children. But we find out later on in the series that Cersei loves power more. And I think for Sean, this whole Wallace family tradition of like, we're Wallaces and we're together and we do what Wallaces do, that's just an ongoing fake narrative that's crumbling by the season, by the episode. You see now by him shaking hands with Koba, and I know he didn't want to agree with the whole Lale thing, but you shook hands with Koba, you came to the table and agreed to terms after this man tried to kill your mama. So it's like it's just this narrative that's just crumbling by the episode with Sean. And to be honest, when he shook hands with that dude, I lost respect for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not just Sean that the Wallace family is like crumbling, because later on we'll talk about Marion a little bit more, but man, Wallaces don't give a fuck about one another. Let's just put it that way, right? Let's just put it that way.
They don't. And you saw with Finn. Finn was about to leave his family for a woman half his age and his little side kid. So the Wallaces they're deadly. They're all about power. It's like, I know we family and everything, but power and money and influence and resources matter more, and that's what we're starting to see now. I think the sister is only Wallace that's not like that, and she took herself away from all of that.
Yeah. Power is power, like that. Littlefinger, because you mentioned Game of Thrones, he talked about how knowledge is power, and Cersei's like, power is power, and that's 100% the Wallace way. Facts. But with Koba having this conversation with Sean about like, hey, don't let this be about your fucking dick, and Sean like loses his mind and says, this isn't about my fucking dick. And he talks about having the Kurds on the Wallace side, having promised things to Lale and her people and things like that. But Koba, is going to challenge that. Now, whether that's because Koba has like his personal feelings towards Lale and her people because, he was working them so hard and like taking all their profit, or because the fact that he's, Koba's supposed to be like this person who doesn't really report to any one person, but it's like he's still reporting to Asif. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though he's made this alliance with Sean, he still is reporting to Asif. Like, he's still quote unquote loyal to Asif. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Koba's all about Koba. I mean, it's not, at the end of the day, it's all about what he can get out of it. And if the investors are a threat, he's gonna try, and a good deal comes away, he's gonna not let that threat. And same with Asif. I mean, yeah, he's cool with Asif right now. And, any deal that Koba makes is gonna be the benefit of Koba and not anybody else. And the deal that he made with Asif, because he knows Asif has all the trade routes, has the infrastructure. So I believe Koba would trade his own mama for that infrastructure. That's how Koba is. Like, Koba's all about Koba. And Sean, he portrays to be about, family and loyalty and all of that. But if Sean really felt that way, he would have just said, fuck that, let's just kill Asif and just take his infrastructure. I mean, Sean killed a federal agent. Like, that's like Sean's not above killing anybody. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so that's just who Koba is. He's gonna do what's best for Koba and his interest.
Yeah. Well, speaking of interests, when we turn to Lale's situation, she's hanging upside down from the ceiling. She's in like this very decorated type of room. Again, not sure if it's a flat or if it's a hotel or what the location is, but she's, girl is about to be tortured, right? Beyond belief. And you kind of can look around the room and you see that this room is very similar to the opening sequence of the dog licking up the blood. And it's like, oh my God, like it's her blood that the dog is licking up. And so it's like, okay, is the dog from the future? Is it from like that same moment that we're now seeing Lale? And you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, oh my gosh, okay, so now pieces are falling, in place. And you see that it's Asif who walks in, and he's gonna, torture her physically, but he's also gonna just torture time, if you will. And he sits down, he wants to take a drink, and he asks Lale like if she knew why Sean wanted to kill his son Nasir from the previous season. And I like what Lale had said to him, because they have beef, right? frank, I mean, she's got beef with Asif because of what happened to her husband, and so
Absolutely.
refresh our memories about that.
Yeah. So episode 4, you see a flashback of the Kurds fighting in a war against Assad's people, and again, similar to this episode, you'll see later on, Lottie's fighting her way through the barricade, killing often dudes left and right. So she gets to this little warehouse compound. Her right hand man, and she sees her husband pretty much barbecued on top of this little grill platform, and like she's trying to like take him off, but like she gets burned, and he's like his skin is falling off the bone to this point, and it was due to Asif. Asif had pretty much killed her people and killed and kidnapped her husband. So she never forgot that. But what happens was Finn brought all these gangs to the table and forced them to put aside any differences they may have had in the past, including Lale and Asif. So even though they were at the table and making deals with each other, Lale never forgot what Asif did to her husband, to her people.
Yeah. Yeah. So, they've got beef, obviously. She's got beef with Asif long before Nasir's death. And now, Asif wants revenge, if you will. He wants some sort of explanation about why Sean did what he did, like why he went after his son and what have you. And, threatens Lale. And she basically says to him, like, I'm not afraid of death. And I think that's something that for her, because I think people can just say that just to say it. But I think for her, in her mind, maybe she died a long time ago when she saw the state of her husband and everything surrounding that situation and just how much hate she had for Asif. So like to be in the room with Asif, who she knows he's going to attempt to kill her or torture her or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, bring it on, bitch. Like, let's go. Like, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of death. Like, and he says, you may not say anything. He goes, but also there's no one here to grieve for you. And I'm like, ooh, that one kind of hurt. Like,
and I think I also say you have nobody to live for. I'm like,
yeah.
shit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's some true shit right there. And it's facts. She has nobody to live for. Mm-hmm. I mean, outside with people that she's trying to like help find weapons to and defend themselves. She has no. I mean, Sean's like I don't know if Sean's a love interest per se, but like I think Sean's kind of a placeholder for her because she lost so much,
Mm-hmm.
So, but when Asif said that shit hit different. It hits different when it's true.
Yeah. So saying that there's no one for you to live for, and there's no one to grieve for you, and I was just like, my God, mm-hmm. Like you want to strike them where it hurts. Like, damn. Also, let me reiterate: this entire time that she's having this conversation with Asif, she's hanging upside down from the ceiling. The fact that this actress here, I don't know her name, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. The fact that she actually did this, and I'm sure they had to take so many breaks in between. Like, kudos to these actors who like commit to the situation of their characters, because like in real life, hanging upside down for any period of time, you're gonna pass out. All that blood rush into your head, like you're gonna pass out. You're probably gonna die. So how they kept her alive throughout this whole thing is like magic to me. But damn.
It's crazy. Her name is Nargis Lashidi. And I follow her after that scene. I follow her on Instagram, and like I saw on her Instagram, she has a little interview about this episode, mm-hmm. And she learned kickboxing, she learned taekwondo, she did all of her stunts. There's no stunt double in this episode. She was so enthralled in this episode, and like she sprained her wrist. She had like injuries from the training, but she wanted it to be as authentic as possible. And when you watch it, man, it's stressful. It paid off. It's a very for sure.
It's 100% stressful. I mean, we'll get more into that towards the end of this review, but like the commitment, I have to give it to these actors, in general, who want to go the extra mile to perform their stunts to make it, like you say, as authentic as possible. And damn did it pay off. My God. But let's shift perspectives to that of Shannon and Ed. I was supposed to say Shed. But Shannon and Ed Dumani, we saw that in the previous episode. Elliot left his dad at the airport to go find Ed, who was being tortured. by Koba's people to deliver him back to Shannon, right? He was in really bad shape and he's still in bad shape, but Ed is telling Shannon, hey, we need to leave London. It's not safe. And she's like, we're not going anywhere. And in the midst of all this, Marion left compound to go meet with the Dumanis. And I was like, oh, wow, like this is the first time that Marion and Ed see each other face to face after the attempted murder, right?
Yep.
I mean, it was an interesting conversation, but like, did you think like there was going to be any like showdown at that point when they locked eyes?
I don't think so, only because by that point, both characters have been through so much, right? Like,
Yeah.
Ed is done. Like, Ed lost his son. Ed's daughter went to prison. He couldn't help her. Ed almost lost his life, you know, trying to help Luan. Ed's been tortured. Like, I think at this point, Ed's looking for a retirement fund. And the same with Marianne. Like, Marianne, at that point, Marianne is, you know, she's hiding on the cover. Her life is being sought after by Koba. She gets her whole compound gets shot up. She's literally hiding. You know, she's like making amends with the woman that her husband impregnated and was about to run off with. So I think both characters are at a point where it's like we've been through so much, and if we can both help each other in some sort of fashion to get out of this,
right,
then we'll be better for it. So I think, and this show does a great job of like showing that personal vendettas doesn't help you in the long run.
Oh,
like
God,
people
no.
die with personal vendettas, and it's like you trying to just get to another day alive. And if I gotta be the enemy, the friend of my enemy, then I'm gonna do that. But I gotta do what I gotta do to get myself out of here, my family's safe. So I didn't expect any type of like personal vendettas at that point.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure what to think because I was just like, oh my God, they're meeting for the first time. Granted, Shannon's there, Danny, her son is there. So it's like, okay, that would look really bad if Marion, who's like grandma to Danny, would kill his actual grandfather. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like that would look bad. But the exchange between Ed and Marion was interesting because he says to Marion, you know, Shannon told me everything that you did, and we don't want your help. And Marion's response is, but I need yours. And this is where I say, like, the Wallaces are about themselves. Like, they're not about family. They can hide behind that, you know, veil to say that they are, but they're really not. Because when Marion says that she wants to stop Sean and Koba from running London, I mean, there's only one way to interpret that, and that means kill them. She's saying we have to kill my son and Koba in order to stop them from running London. And Frank, the idea that she's proposing, she and Ed Dumani, the Wallace and Dumanis, you know, they built everything up from the ground up. Sean and Koba are threatening that, but she says to Ed, we, Wallace and Dumani, need to be on top, not Sean and Koba. London belongs to us. And I'm like, what the actual fuck is happening? Like, what were your thoughts on that whole exchange?
I was kind of surprised when she said that, only because you're a mother at the end of the day.
Yes.
And that is your son. And y'all might not agree on things. Y'all might not see eye to eye a lot of times. But I can't wrap my head around her trying to kill her son.
Yes.
Now what I can see is her trying to kill Koba and like leave Sean with no options of like who to align with outside of just her. But I just can't see it. Like I hear her, but I don't believe her. You know. So and with Ed, I don't see Ed coming back. I think Ed probably wants his main focus now is to keep Shannon and Danny safe. And it's funny because with Marion always seems to ask for help after that said person goes through trauma with Koba. When she asked Luan, when Sean and Marion asked Luan for help, Luan's like, nah, man, they may kill my dog. He kidnapped my wife. He started my kids. He buried my wife alive. No, that motherfucker's crazy.
Yeah.
And now Ed, who just went through torture for how many days we don't know, and he's like, nah, fuck that. This motherfucker's crazy. And like nobody knows Koba's crazy until you actually experience the Koba experience.
Right.
So, but I don't know, Brittany. I don't see her killing her son. I can't fathom that.
Especially one that she already believed was dead for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And was shocked when she got the phone call from him warning her about leaving the compound because Koba was coming. Like it's such a stretch, but then at the same time, she did witness her son killing another mother in front of their very eyes.
Yeah.
And I think she's seeing the monster that he is. He'll go to whatever lengths necessary in order to get what he wants, and that's power. He might not, I mean, he's Finn's son, but it's like he's Finn to the 10th, right? A completely different level of chaos and loose cannon. That's how we've described Sean here on the show. But I think she's slowly realizing that with Koba in his corner, things are just going to go from bad to worse very quickly, and they need to be stopped. If Sean's made his decision, and it seems that Marion has made hers. I mean, it's only for me because I don't know how far ahead you are in the season, but for me, it's like I see where one can struggle with the idea that as a mother, as a parent, you can't like go and kill your kid, but then at the same time, this kid's also kind of crazy. So you just don't know.
I think too, Marion even proposing that idea really strengthens Marion's daughter mindset. Why she's not fuck with her family. Like I think that's one of the main reasons. Like they're so treacherous. Not only they're dangerous, but they'll do anything for power.
Yeah,
I think turned her off, and like that's why she exiled herself from her mother, father, and her siblings. I know she's trying to save Billy, but for the most part, she don't fuck with her family, and I think that's why she knows what they're capable of.
And speaking of Billy, he also tries to be the voice of reason when it comes to Sean, because after Sean learns about Lale being taken to Asif, Koba warns him like, hey, no retaliation whatsoever. You need to think about things and not think with your dick, basically. But Sean, again, loose cannon, he's thinking about Lale, and he's thinking about like how he can get her back, and he's having this conversation with Billy. And truthfully, Billy, when he's not high, he's actually a pretty sound character. Like he makes sense and he thinks things through, and like their sister Jacqueline, who escaped the Wallace way of life. He was there with her. He was living life. He was painting. He was, just living his best life. And then he got sucked back into it. Right. So, for Billy to kind of try to reason with his baby brother and say, don't do this. And Sean's like, fuck it, I'm gonna do whatever I want. It's like, okay, Billy, you tried. You've tried to do the right thing. You've tried. I mean, he did right by his half sister. He, took her to the church to abandon her, and that way she can hopefully grow up better than all of them, right? So, I feel for Billy. I'm very curious to see what kind of storyline is going to develop for Billy, because it's like you have to kind of you have to throw him a bone too. Like, him coming back can't just be as like the side character of voicing a voice of reason, right? He's got to have some sort of like moment, or something bad's going to happen to him, or he's going to have a triumphant moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Very curious about Billy.
Yeah, I think Billy's story is going to be all about redemption. I really feel bad for Billy when you see that flashback in season 1 of like Billy and Sean as kids, and Finn's taking him out to the woods, and you see the guy buried into the ground with only his head showing, and Sean, his dad Finn gives Sean the gun, and Sean couldn't do it, but Billy did.
Yeah.
I think from that moment on, Brittany, Billy was fucked up, and he had not been the same. The drug enhanced days that he goes through, the promiscuous ways with men. I think it all goes back to that day of like being, no matter what, 13, maybe 12. and shooting that man in the head, he was never the same. And it's
Absolutely.
childhood trauma. And this is
Yeah.
childhood trauma times 10. Like you killed a man, you know what I'm saying? And like
Yeah.
your father and your mother are there to like praise you on, you know. So
Yeah.
um I think Billy is on a road to redemption. I think he's gonna be one of the characters that actually survives the end of this. I think he's gonna experience a lot of loss along the way,
Mm-hmm.
because that's just the consequence of being a Wallace. But I
Right.
think he's gonna make us proud, I believe. And this is me not knowing anything. I haven't
Yeah.
nothing's been shown yet, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one can hope, but then I kind of look at this show. We've mentioned how this is kind of like a modern day Game of Thrones. It's like you don't have a favorite character in Game of Thrones. It's like you kind of can't expect a happy ending for any
Mhm.
one of these characters. So I don't know. I'm kind of I could go either way for Billy, but absolutely agree with what you said about the childhood trauma, being the oldest, and the father passing on the oldest to the youngest son to kind of carry the waves of Wallace. And when he sees that his baby brother couldn't make the kill and he goes ahead and does it, it's like, he's still being the older brother. He's still protecting his little brother and still being overlooked by the father. Yeah, that would fuck anyone up. Like 1000%. 1000%.
And then, I think also in Billy's mind, he failed again when Sean died initially in the first season.
Mhm.
He's like, man, had I took that shot and like took the reins, my brother would never been in a position to even get presumably killed the first time around. So I
Right.
think he just carries a lot of guilt,
Yeah.
and a sense of failure from that point on. So I think now that Sean's alive, this is his second lease on a do over, like a second chance. Like, okay, I'm gonna do right by my brother. I'm gonna not be high and just sit in the corner and listen to music. I'm gonna like give my brother as much advice as possible to make sure
Yeah.
that I don't lose him again for the second time.
I agree. I absolutely agree. So we only can hope all things go well for Billy, but I'm not expecting things to go well at all for Billy. But going back to Lale, she's still hanging upside down from the ceiling. She's now kind of trying to swing her way to the table because there were some men there that kind of were preparing the floor, with the plastic and then like weapons to torture her with. And so she's like trying to figure out a way, okay, how can I free myself using these weapons over here on the table? So she like swing like a pendulum, just swinging back and forth to try to get to them. It's not working out in her favor. And cut scene to Elliot. I still want to know how the fuck Elliot is able to find these people like Shannon and Ed and them. I mean, I know he found them to deliver Ed, but I guess they're staying in the same spot. I don't know. Probably not wise, Dumani's, to do that. But Frank, we got to talk about this amazing acting from pronounce his name for me. Sope?
So I gotta see it spelled out for me to.
It's like Sope, but I think it's got an accent. But anyway, the actor who plays Elliot has a wonderful performance.
Sope Dirisu.
Yeah, wonderful performance in this hotel room with Shannon, blaming her for dragging him in when he was almost out. She saved his dad, or her dad. Sorry, he saved her dad, but he lost his dad in the midst of it. I mean, you've had to have felt some type of way seeing Elliot that emotional because we don't get that from Elliot.
Yeah, I had to pause and go and walk my dog because I was gonna cry
Oh my.
because it's just because like this guy's been through so much, right? Like we talk about like the John Wick aspect of it, like the fights that he's been through, but like unlike John Wick, you see this weighing on him, like he's mentally and physically just tired of fighting. He wants to get out of here and like go somewhere tropical and just get away from this life. And when he feels like he's so close after doing everything that the investors told him to do, killing innocent people, killing this person, killing that person, and how he's just, I think Shannon said in one of the episodes, like, you're not sleeping. He's not, it's to a point he's not even sleeping at this point.
Yeah.
And to feel like you're so close only to get your father murdered, and to be back into this again, he's just tired. I think that's the human element of like, just, fighting for so long, at a while you just crash. You hit a breaking point to where you just doubt everything. Like, what more can I do? I'm just, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired. They're taking everything away from me. I have nothing to live for. And, and it's just the act of crying, man. It's always rough for me to see grown men cry, because I think, especially with black men, like, we're taught to be, providers and protectors and tough, and
never show emotion.
Yeah, never show emotion. You don't show vulnerability. You don't show too much because you're a bitch, and mental therapy is not the way to go. So to see him just break down in front of this black woman that he does care about,
yeah,
it was so synonymous of like mental health of black men and being able to show your vulnerability. I love that scene. It was so well done, man, because you watch so many action movies, right? And like, you see Steven Seagal and Bruce Lee and like Jackie Chan do all these fights, but you never see them emotionally just breaking down like, fuck, I don't want to fight anymore. I just want to be in peace. And that's what I got from him in that scene.
It was very, I think the word I'm looking for is very visceral, because he's so wound up in everything that he's been doing. He's been killing people that he doesn't want to do. He's having to work for multiple people that he doesn't want to have to work for. All he wanted to do was save his dad. And it makes sense to throw blame on somebody else when a bad thing happens, because we as human beings are just like that. We're quick to blame other people. Not saying that this was entirely his own fault in a way, because he was doing what he felt and thought he needed to do in order to protect his father and to get them both out of there. But to see him in that moment breaking down, really processing everything that happened, if it's the day before or 2 days before, whatever the case may be, to see him just lose it and to break down was so incredibly difficult to watch. And I mean, I don't know where Sope like got the feelings, like, just to be able to convey that whole message to the audience. Like, he was hurting, he was breaking down, like he was done, like he's lost. Brilliant acting on his part. And then even for the actress who plays Shannon to kind of try to be there and be comforting, but like, he kind of pushes her off, and she's like, okay. Like, that's a very real moment. That's a very real moment when someone's hurting and you want to be a comfort, but they don't want to be comforted, right? They want to feel whatever they want to feel. And man, like, I need to see more of that. Like, the real people emotional aspect of things, because like this is a really hardcore show in the sense of like there's a lot of action, it's bloody, what have you, but then at the same time these people are human beings. They have feelings, they go through struggles, they just like with Ed Dumani when he finally came to terms with seeing Alex on the slab, and breaking down. Like, this season's hitting with making you feel all the things. Like, let's just be real about that.
I think what I love about this show is that also too is that, unlike a lot of like mob shows and gang movies and gang shows, this show really portrays the human element of just being worn down, of like being in this life.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I love Sopranos so much, because like you see all the mob hits and the takeovers, but like Tony Soprano's tired. By season 5, season 6, you see like he's talking to a therapist throughout the series, but towards the end, he's just the finality of it. Like, I don't care what happens to me at this point. If I die, cool. If I take over this New Jersey, better, but I don't care anymore. Yeah. And I think with the show, most notably with the two black characters, Ed Dumani and Elliot, they're just tired. They don't know where else to go. And family for both those characters means so much. And and what they're doing, even though Elliot is more on the side of light and Ed is more on the side of the gang life dark, they both do it for their family. So where the next generation doesn't have to do what they did. And you see with all the characters in the show, from Lale to Lale as well, and Asif. Like Asif, even though Asif was, the way he was doing it was kind of questionable, but he was propping up his son's campaign because he wanted his son to not be in his life. He wanted his son to want more, to be better than him. And I think that's the family aspect of this show, of that they don't want the next generation to live how they lived. And And again, with Sope, there's been James Bond rumors as well with him this last couple months. Yeah, so
Oh.
yeah, and he talks about it in the interview as well. So I'll send that link after the show. But I
Oh
mean,
man.
he's 32 years old, so he's very young.
I'm sorry, what? He's 32?
He's 32. Yeah,
He's a year younger than me?
younger than you. Yeah,
Fuck this guy.
we
No, I'm
haven't
just kidding.
we haven't encompassed much, right? Because this guy's 32 and
No.
he's on an award acclaimed show, and yeah, man, yeah, he's
so unaccomplished in life.
yeah,
Whatever.
guy's a Nigerian legend already. I know he's from a Nigerian
Man,
parentage, but
he's wonderful. He's wonderful. Like wonderful casting with Elliot Carter as a with this guy. But you know, you're talking about family, right? We we think that the Wallaces are all about family. No, they're not. But when Elliot, he's led to believe that it was the investors who killed his father, and Shannon, reveals about how the investors are being killed off, simultaneously. And Elliot's like, well, how? Like, how is that possible? And she's like, well, Sean has like information and was able to, pick them off one by one. And then Elliot realizes the truth. It wasn't the investors who killed his father. It was Sean. And he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go kill Sean right now. And Shannon's like, no. Like, I'm gonna need you to take a step back. But then she reveals too, she wants Sean and Koba dead as well. So it's like, oh yeah, so we're not all about family. Like we're about marking each other like just left and right. Like no big deal. No big deal. No big deal.
yeah, this is Danny's uncle, pretty much, right?
I
Like
know.
Danny knows him as Uncle Sean and Uncle Billy and
Mhm.
Auntie Jacqueline. Like this is like family being ripped apart by the seams, all because of power.
I mean, I don't know who really started it other than, of course, Finn. Finn, doing what he was doing, taking the money and running off and hurting the Dumanis at the same time. It's like a never-ending cycle with them, right? They're never going to be rid of one another. They're always going to need one another. There's always going to be drama with one another. It's just wild. It's such a wild family, quote unquote, dynamic. Because I don't know any other family, even my own, that's this toxic and this dramatic.
I don't know. The Bowens and the Lancers are pretty toxic. I don't know.
Oh well, yeah, that's true. That's extremely true, especially with the Boltons. Good God, Ramsey, fuck that guy. Miss him though. Let's go back to Lale,
Yeah.
because this was a very Lale centric episode. Frank, I know you said that she's your second favorite character on the show, so let's talk through this whole sequence with her, Asif, being tortured, or is she tortured?
Yeah, so in one of the previous scenes, you see her trying to swing herself to the glass, to the glass that has the whiskey in it. So Asif, so she's still talking shit about Asif, about her son, about his son, and how she took pleasure slitting him from ear to ear and all of this. And Asif just flips, right?
She's laughing about it. Like,
Yeah,
about like
she's
these
totally laughing
characters.
about it.
These characters like to taunt one another. It's
Oh
crazy.
yeah, absolutely. And she pretty much said that he had a cowardly death. He begged for his life and all that kind of stuff. So Asa goes into, I guess, strangle her to death, I guess, and that's when she takes the shard glass and stabs him right in the neck. I don't know how that man was able to fight with a piece of shard glass in his neck. You would thought it would hit an artery or something.
The jugular.
But, yeah, he falls to the ground and Lale uses the shard glass to untie herself from the rope. I think Asif trips her up. He chokes Asif some more. Asif gets to the call button to alert the henchman that he needs help. Yeah. So she runs out of there. So at that point, I thought Asif was dead because I'm thinking to myself, in a way, he survived that. He's probably bleeding out right now.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's this long sequence of her trying to figure out a way to get out of this compound. I don't know if it's a hotel or a hideaway or something, but a guy comes at her. Two guys come at her with guns. She runs away. She runs to a balcony window. And I'm thinking she's going to go out the window, but she uses her brain and takes off her jacket to make it seem like she actually went out the window. Mm-hmm. Leaves that part, runs down the hallway again. They go to that window and they think that she got away through the window.
Right.
And after that, it's a blur. Like it's like she's going through the hallway, and two more guys come shooting at her. She fights them off.
Well, she goes into the kitchen.
Oh, is it the
What
kitchen? Okay,
seems,
it's just
yeah. So one of the guys that kind of stayed behind in the room where they think that she, jumped off the balcony, he's searching whatever, and she kind of goes into this kitchen area to hide. And I wrote a note in here. It's like, Lale, learn to breathe quietly. My
She's
goodness.
gasped. Think about it. Like from the time she uncut herself and ran down the hallway, and she's gasped.
Yeah, no, you're right. But still, like if you're gonna try to hide from like these henchmen, like I need you to breathe quietly. Anyway, but that probably was part of her plan because dude walks in and she starts playing like this helpless victim sort of persona. She's showing her bloodied hands because she cut herself with the glass and all that. And she's like, please help me, please help me. And he's kind of like approaching her like calmly, like, okay, like, I'm gonna help. And she just like, decks him right in the throat. She grabs the saran wrap and like wraps his head around it. And I mean, she went from helpless victim to like lethal in like 0.2 seconds. Like, damn, with the saran wrap. It was crazy. And I thought with the dude like kicking at, I don't know what liquid it was. It was like a jug that he was kicking. I was like, okay, is he doing that like as he's dying to hopefully like if she steps into it, it's going to lead tracks and people are going to like be able to find her. I probably thought way too much into it, but yes, she kills the dude. She flees down the stairs. People are still looking for her and they go into the bathroom. The bathroom is where all the shit happens. Please continue.
Yeah, so she goes in the bathroom and like she's bloodied up and like it's just like a little shower thing and like two guys pursue her. She was able to choke one guy out. They're fighting or whatever. It's like this little platform in the shower. The guy falls on his back. She takes like this shower rope, like to one of the detachable showers, and she wraps it around his neck.
Yeah.
And pretty much like, and he's on this platform. His neck is like parallel to like his head's parallel to the platform, and he's just choking him. She's choking him out. Literally, I thought his head was gonna snap and like just hit the corner of the platform. But like she's like bearing down with all of her strength, and to a point where like he just gives out. Yeah. Did we talk about the plastic with the saran wrap? Was that later on?
No, that was before. That was before because then she cuts the breaker, and now everyone's running in the dark. They've got flashlights. Flashlights important in this next topic because in the bathroom again, lights are off. They're searching for her. They've got flashlights, and she's like, fighting them off with they've got the flashlights. So you're seeing like kind of bits and pieces of like the actual fighting sequence, but she ends up killing a dude. With the flashlight, smashing it into his head repeatedly. So you see the light, it's white or cool light or whatever. You see it go from white and then she smashes it into the head and she brings it back up and now it's red. The light is now red. And she's over and over and over again. It's like, wow, this bitch with the flashlight, incredible. She took out another dude, like you said, with the shower hose. And, you think it's all over. You think it's all over. She's going to make the great escape. She's walking out. And then she encounters Asif. How the fuck is this dude still alive?
Dude's like the Terminator, man. He doesn't give up. He does not give up.
No. Big dude. But he's got that fire poker that we saw him with earlier. Right?
Yeah. So they're doing this little dance in the hallway, they're fighting or whatever. She chokes him and I think she knocks him, presumably knocks him out. She tries to get away. Asif gets back up with the fire poker and like swings it right on the platform of her foot. And puts a hold on it. She falls back down, and he gets on top of her. And so the gash and Asif next from the shard glass, Lale puts her thumb in it, and like pretty much like just gouges a deeper hole into that cut. Yeah. To where he's literally bleeding out. Like I'm not sure how he's even alive at this point. And he falls back down. She was able to get to the elevator shaft or whatever to get out to the front door. And
I mean,
You
she got
think that she
stabbed
was,
on the foot. She got stabbed in the chest. Like,
yeah,
you
so
know,
she's limping. Yeah, that's happened chest too.
yeah.
So she's limping at this point, and
Ugh.
she's out in the street from the house. She's walking away. She's limping away. And it's raining profusely,
Mm-hmm.
and right within she got away, the headlights of a car comes on, and I'm thinking to myself, "Fuck, this Koba, like who?" Like, 'cause I thought it was Koba. I was like,
Yeah.
it was Koba outside the whole time,
Yeah.
waiting for the job to get done. So
Mm-hmm.
she's trying to crawl away. She falls down. The car comes up, and lo and behold, Sean gets out of the car. So I'm thinking to myself,
White boy in a silver
yeah,
horse.
right, like her knight in shining white armor comes out. They hug, whatever. Sean, and what weirded me out here, Sean didn't say a word.
Mm-mm.
Sean wasn't happy. Sean didn't kiss her. Sean didn't like say, "I got you. I'm gonna protect you."
Like,
Lyle
it's
just hugs her.
okay.
And,
Everything's gonna be fine. Yeah.
say it again.
It's like he didn't comfort her to say, like, it's okay, everything's gonna be
Yeah,
fine. She's telling him, you came for me, you came for me, or you came back for me. That's what it was.
yeah, yep.
Because she did that for him when he was, knocking on death's door, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Feeling was not reciprocated.
Not at all. Not at all. Not a word was said. And at that point, that's when I knew he's
Mm-hmm.
gonna take her back to that house. Because like normally when you save somebody or like you find somebody that and you try to bring them back in, you're emotional, you're saying something.
Yeah.
And Sean didn't say shit. And then, so he proceeds to put her in the back seat,
Mm-hmm.
and Sean goes in the front seat as a driver. And from that point, it's from Lane's perspective, similar to when Sean was kidnapped, or Sean was saved by Lale. In Sean's perspective, Sean's going in and out of consciousness, lies in the front seat, and they get by a car. So it was like those scenes mirrored each other. So Liza's in the back seat, she's going in and out of consciousness. Sean's driving or in the front seat, the car's going, and she falls back out of consciousness.
Yep.
Car stops. Sean takes her out of the car, and you see a similar structure of where she just left from. And lo and behold, it's Asif's compound. And Lale looks up, and she sees Asif walking up with the dog. And she's screaming. Sean puts her down. Asif grabs her by the hair and is literally dragging her back into that room. And she's the blood curdling screams.
And that's when Sean finally says something. He says, "I'm so sorry." That's when he decides to say something. And it was such a great scene tie-in from the very beginning, as we talked about the dog licking up the blood everywhere on the floor, goes and waits for the elevator door to open, and you just like, you don't know who's going to come through the elevator, but you do see like a figure walking up behind the dog, who's waiting, and this is the scene that's unfolding. The dog is waiting for Sean to deliver Lale to Asif, who's walking up from behind the dog. And beautifully scripted storytelling from beginning to end, that great tie-in. But the look on Lale's face, her screaming, and watching Sean as she's being pulled away, and then he gets into the elevator, and like there's no emotion, like for the most part, and then you kind of see maybe there's a hint of emotion, or maybe he wants to shed a tear. I'm like, nah, bitch, fuck you. Don't start crying now.
Don't cry now, ho. Don't cry now. Yeah, every opportunity to save her life, and you chose power. You chose that alliance between Koba and Asif over her life. And I really believe the Kurds are going to come back for him. I truly believe that. Once they find out what happened, they're going to come back for Sean. So Sean has now the Kurds to worry about. He has Elliot to worry about, Marion to worry about, possibly Ed. We'll see what goes on with that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Shannon
man,
too. Like, I mean, Shannon wants him dead as well.
Yeah, Shannon as well. So
yeah. So he's making a lot more enemies than he has alliances, and I definitely don't think that Koba is going to be in his corner for much longer.
Absolutely not.
To me, there's no logical way or reason to keep Koba in his corner when Sean has made so many enemies, because Koba's loyal to Koba, like you said. And the fact that Sean gave him the information on the investors, that's all that matters, because Koba's life was in question with the investors. It's either you kill Sean Wallace or we come kill you. Well, Koba said, fuck you. I'm going to kill, whomever I'm going to kill, investors, he's probably going to end up wanting to kill or actually killing Sean Wallace. And Koba's going to want to run London. That's my prediction. Have no idea what's actually going to unfold. I do hope we see a showdown at some point between Elliot, Koba, and Sean, the three of them, or just one-on-ones. But I need to see Elliot take out Koba and Sean. Like, that would be just poetic, in my opinion. To end season 2, whenever we get to that point. So,
yeah, I just this show is so action packed, and people get killed at a high metamorphic rate. I don't know how this show goes beyond three seasons, maybe 4. I don't know how, because
I don't know.
You're recycling new characters every single time, and it's just like this show is so violent, and it's like the life expectancy on this show is so short.
Yeah,
maybe they can pull it off. I don't know, but I see this as a short, maybe 4-season run, maybe.
But now I'm thinking, because we talked briefly about Elliot and his character development, wherever his story may go. I think somehow, I don't know why I said Elliot. I meant to say Billy. My bad. Billy, we might see some sort of development with him, but I think he might get caught in the crossfire. And I think that could be, let's say, a turning point between Sean and Koba. I think Billy could either be severely injured by Koba or killed by Koba. And then that's going to be a turning point for Sean to just raise hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
I ain't saying shit.
Oh my God, you're killing me. Killing me.
Shit. I'm an episode ahead, and like, I ain't saying shit.
Killing me, Frank. Killing me.
I'll just leave it at that.
Oh man. Well, if that isn't cliffhanger enough to check out our next episode for Gangs of London, I don't know what would be. But yes, that will conclude our wrap up for episode 6 of season 2 of Gangs of London. Frank, it's always a pleasure. I love and hate you for bringing the show into my life, because damn.
I didn't want to be the only person stressing. I needed somebody to stress with on this series, and who better than you? I mean, one thing about you, Brady, is like, it's hard to get you on shows, but once you commit,
I commit.
Bam, you're enthralled.
I commit.
No...
That's why I haven't jumped on Yellowstone just yet. I'm not ready to make that commitment just yet. But listening to y'all's pods about Yellowstone, and now 1923 that just dropped this week, I'm very interested for sure. So I will make that commitment one day. It might be 5 years down the road, like Game of Thrones, but I will make the commitment.
I ain't gonna lie, man. Like, the first episode of 1923 is the first time I'll say, you know what? I wouldn't mind fucking a 70-year-old. Helen Mirren, man. Helen Mirren. She can get it, bro. She pulled some gangster shit in that first episode. I'm like, her old ass can get it. Bareback. She can get it.
My God. Okay, moving on. All right. So that, once again, will conclude Gangs of London wrap up. We'll be back next week, hopefully next week, which is the eve to New Year's Eve on the 30th. So we'll be back then to talk about the next episode of Gangs of London. In the meantime, y'all go check out our other pods. As I mentioned, Yellowstone, 1923. We also did our best and worst of 2022. So love for y'all to check that out. Share your thoughts. You can also follow the Watchers in the Basement on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Frank, as of time of recording, we hit 200 subscribers here on YouTube.
Yay.
Amazing.
So happy, man. Thank y'all so much for coming on this ride. We started this podcast in 2016, I want to say.
19.
Was it 19?
It was 19. It was the same year that Game of Thrones was about to come back.
Oh my God, I thought we did. Okay, all right.
We've talked about it for a long time. That's why it feels that way.
Well, I mean, it's been a long road, man. We've hit high gear on like recording more episodes this year, man, to get some more content. But thank y'all so much for your support. Let's grow even more. Let's do Road to the 500 now. Let's get it.
Oh, let's do it. So you can do that and help grow our audience by using hashtag Watchers Basement on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Send us content that you want us to check out, articles, memes, things of that nature. If you haven't already done so already, do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like this video as well. And lastly, you can check out our audio podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, thanks to Anchor.fm. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. Really helps us out. And Frank, we're just days before Christmas, so I hope you enjoy your time with your family. Have a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you too, Brittany. Y'all stay warm down there, man. Shout out to your mom and dad and everybody there, man. So y'all be safe, eat good, and enjoy this break.
Yeah, for sure. So we will see y'all next week for the next episode of Gangs of London.